So let me apologize off the onset, guys, because this first story I'm gonna get to is it's a bummer, but on the upside, everybody's alive. So when it comes to interactions between black people and the police, at least we're off on a positive note. Everybody's alive. Everybody made it. Well, they didn't make it home immediately, but they are home now. So let's get into it because thankfully, this story was so egregious enough that it has captured the attention, or at least gotten the gaze of the national media, that they have felt that this is an appropriate story for them to cover. So let me add my voice to the chorus. So we're talking about an 11-year-old in Indianola, Mississippi, whom last Saturday was shot after the child was told by his mother to call 911 after the mother's abusive ex-partner showed up to the home unannounced very late and apparently scaring the occupants of the house. When the police arrived, I mean, we're going to get the recaps from the packages and press conference and all that, but just to give you a little primer. So when the police arrived, they called for all the occupants of the house to come out with their hands up, right? The child, the 11-year-old boy, Aderrien Murray, cute kid. I love his name, Adarian. I love that name. Kid comes out with his hands up. So why did the child get shot in the chest? Why did the child get shot in the chest? Why did the child get shot in the chest? The child. We are going to hear a couple of things here. So the first thing that we are going to check out is going to be, let's check out what I guess is kind of the semi latest information. I believe this is going to be from CBS. CBS News, like I said, thankfully this has gotten some national attention, but because it's such an egregious story, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about this because it actually hits on several themes, I suppose, of this platform. Why we should not call police to our homes if we are in need of assistance, right? The police don't keep us safe. What I perceive, and I might be wrong, and I'm quite comfortable and happy to be wrong and corrected, what I perceive is a lack of community intervention in a domestic situation where this woman who had experienced terrorism from her former partner told her son to call two people, told her son to call her mother and the cops. And the sad state of affairs that women would think to call their moms first and the police to come help them come contain they old man that's out here acting up. And trust me, as a person who doesn't have a male to call upon in my family, should I encounter a similar situation, I get why the sister did what she did. I disagree with it, but I'm going to come back to that. And this is not any way to critique or condemn this mother who had to witness her child being shot in front of her after she told him to call for help to potentially stave off an assault, or at the least a very uncomfortable situation with her ex acting out outside the house. But let's get the N update. This is coming from CBS News, and I think this is Omar Villafranca who is the one reporting. Let's take a look at this.
We know about what exactly happened.
All right, let me give you a little timeline that we just got from the attorney, Carlos Moore. He told us that there was a domestic issue that was going on late or early Saturday morning here in Indianola. And the mom, her name is Nicaila Murray, was having a dispute with her daughter's father. He had come over and was knocking on the door. They came in and they started arguing. She said that she handed the phone back to her son, Adarian, and just said, hey, call grandma and call the police. You know, he's upset. She handed him the phone to call for help. He did. He called for help and said, hey, you know, this is going on. Please come over and help. Grandma was on the way as well. Well, Carlos Moore, the attorney for the family, told me that when officers showed up, that he said basically they were coming in hot, and Nikayla Murray told me the same thing. It went from banging on the door to trying to kick the door in. She opened it up, and she said the guns were drawn, and hey, everybody get out with their hands up. Well, when that happened, she says that the father of her daughter ran out on the backside. She came out with her hands up and told them, obviously, since a child had made the call, there are kids that are inside the house. So the officer, she said, yelled for everybody who's inside the house to come on out. She's walking out, her mother is there looking in, and when that happened, she said that her son came around the corner with his hands up. Officer shot him. This is their side of the story. And she said that he was hit in the chest and he was in shock and ran to her and basically stumbled in her arms and was asking her, why did they shoot me? He thought at first it was a taser. He was airlifted to a hospital in Jackson, Mississippi. He was on oxygen, not on a ventilator. She clarified that for damage to his lung, and it went here and came out the back. But her words, by the grace of God, he is home. He is alive, and he's physically recovering, and emotionally, she said it's going to be a long journey. What they're protesting for, and let me shift over here a little bit so you can kind of see, it's a press conference. The protest hasn't exactly started. They want the body cam video from that incident released. They have identified the officer as Officer Greg Capers of the Indianola Police Department. They want that body cam released. They wanted it released a few days ago. They gave the city 48 hours, and they said the city did not comply. Now the Mississippi authorities here have basically said this is an ongoing investigation. But things have been released, body cam video has been released before an investigation is completed. They're pushing for that because they want to put pressure on the police department to justify their actions, because Attorney Moore says this is not justified and a child was almost killed.
Omar, I noticed like one of the signs, and I think maybe that's Adarian's mother. It says, "Your best cop," in quotes, "killed my baby." Do we know more about the officer who's been involved in this?
Yeah, we're trying to learn a little bit more. There's not much. We did. Attorneys are saying that a few years ago he was named as Indianola's best officer, and he had just said a little while ago, I was listening, if this is your best officer, then you need to get rid of the whole department and start all over again because of this happened. So that's where they're getting that moniker, the best officer, since he won that award. They want that body camera released, and since he says it hasn't been released in the 48 hours, that building behind me is City Hall. What they plan to do is have a sit-in, and they're going to go in 9 at a time and sit in. One of the city leaders came out and talked to Attorney Moore and said we can't have everybody come in. The maximum they can have come in is 9 at a time. So they're planning on doing a sit-in here to put pressure on the police department and the mayor to release the video that they say will show that the shooting was not justified.
CBS News reporting there from Indianola. The officer who shot this 11-year-old, who shot 11-year-old Adarian, is a veteran who actually has had excessive force complaints against him before, Greg Capers. We're going to see some of the press conference that Attorney Carlos Moore, and we're also going to hear from Adarian's mother who spoke. But this officer apparently has a reputation for excessive force, excessive violence, despite being named Indianola's Police Department best police officer. He has a history for abuse against the public. And the attorney in this clip that we're about to see speaks about this. Let me credit, if I could, Mike Magazine, MIC Magazine. The TikTok account that we're about to see these press conference clips from is from Mike TV 2020. You guys should follow them because this appears to be a Black woman-led media outlet. And to this lady's credit, I apologize, I don't know the sister's name because I did watch some clips. She didn't identify herself, but I could tell, you know what I'm saying? And I know my people want to see them. She has been on top of this for the past week, ever since this terrible incident occurred last weekend. This lady has been on it. So let me give my credits to independent Black woman-led media down there in Mississippi. Shout out to Mike Magazine, Mike TV 2020 on TikTok. Will, let's check out some of the excerpts from the press conference given by Adarian's family and their attorney. Let's take a look.
Handcuffs with no repercussions. It's the same cop that almost killed Aderrien Murray. I'm here with the family, friends, and supporters of little Mr. Murray, demanding not requesting, but demanding within 48 hours that the city terminate Greg Capers if, as my investigation revealed, he is the one that shot Adarian Murray in the chest, an unarmed young black man who was simply following his mother in her home and almost died. Little Mr. Murray had to be airlifted to the University of Mississippi Medical Center, where he is fighting for his life in ICU. He suffered a collapsed lung, fractured ribs, a lacerated liver, and the list goes on and on. No citizen, no child in Indianola should be in this terrifying condition because of the actions of someone who's allegedly the best cop in Indianola. If he's your best, Indianola, you need to clean house from top to bottom. I'm calling on the mayor to take this case seriously. I saw his Facebook Live yesterday, and he did a whole lot of laughing, a whole lot of lollygagging. Mayor Featherstone, this is not a laughing matter. This is not a laughing matter. I demand you give the family the respect they deserve. If it was your child or your grandchild, you would not have been laughing. I call on Chief Sampson to come forth, be seen. You got the chief badge, come out of here and tell the people something. We need you to go because you didn't do anything against against Capers when he first tased that person in handcuffs. You let the man run wild. What are you waiting on? Someone to actually die? The 11-year-old almost died. By the grace of God, he is alive. By the grace of God. The people of Indianola are not going to wait till somebody dies. We want justice now. We demand justice now. You have 48 hours to terminate the chief.
Strong. I understand he's trying to figure out why he was shot. Is that the question that was asked? Because that's what the Mike magazine was told. He said his words to me was, "Why did he shoot me? What did I do?" And he just started crying.
Now, could you give your full name?
My name is Indianola Murry. I'm Adarian Murray's mom.
How traumatic was that event in the moment when it happened?
I can't describe it. Like, he ran to me. He was bleeding. I held him. I held his wound. It bled out the mouth. Every time I close my eyes, I see it. I understand he's a scholar. Those are his sister signs. Now, I understand he was being obedient and doing what he was told at the moment. Did the gunfire happen inside of the home or outside of the home? The officers never came all the way in the inside of the home. They stayed in the frame of the door on the outside. The light was on. He came. Anyone in the house. If you ask, is anyone in the house, come out with your hands up. Your first instinct when telling someone that is not to shoot as soon as someone comes out. Like, it's sad. And
He walk us through kind of what happened in that moment.
Well, in that moment.
Is that it?
They were knocking on the door. I was trying to go to the door. They started kicking the door to tear it down. My mom, she rolled up. She saw them turning around, the cop turning around and kicking the door with his feet. Who called the police? I had my son to call. As a matter of fact, my son was in his room. So no one knew he was up but me. Okay. So I gave him the phone. I asked him to call my mom.
I mean, just a horrific recounting of what happened that night. And a couple of things. So, as you guys heard, this, as you can deduce, this press conference was from a few days ago. So, Adarian has since been released from the hospital. He is home. He is recovering. Again, he was shot in the chest. He had a collapsed lung. His liver was damaged. He had several broken ribs. This child was critically and very seriously injured. It is miraculous that he survived being shot point blank in the chest. Okay. The other thing I wanted to say, as I said, for those press conference clips there, credit to Mike Magazine and on Mike TV, MIC TV 2020 on Twitter, the editor in chief talked about, and the only reason I didn't pull this clip is because the good sis, she started to ramble a little bit. I was like, oh, girl, get to the point. But what she did say, she said that part of the reason that the Indianola Police Department does not release the body cam footage as demanded by attorney Moore and Adarian's mother, according to Mike TV 2020, she says that the body cam footage is bad. Like it's very bad. And she claims to have sources close to the situation that have viewed the body cam that say that they are going to do their best. The Indianola Police Department is going to do their best not to release this body cam footage because it is terrible. It is absolutely terrible. And I mean, di- I really don't need to fucking see it, to be perfectly honest. Like, I mean, I can visualize an 11-year-old boy coming out from around a corner with his hands up and getting shot in the chest. Like, I kind of don't need to see that. Just the visual in my brain is pretty terrible. I don't really need to see that in real life. But regardless, sometimes body cam footage are the only things that really spark public outrage, which is again terrible because it's like black people have to continue to prove our humanity through documented sufferation for anybody to take our pain and our traumas seriously, especially when we're traumatized and harmed by the state. But again, there's a lot about this that I'm so bothered by. The child being shot, yes, but y'all, but for the boyfriend coming over to the house to tear shit up or to antagonize his child's mother, I mean, why are mothers and women and people put into these situations to begin with where they feel as though their only recourse is to call the police? I don't know what this woman's situation was with her former partner. I watched several interviews of the mother around the shooting of her son, and she had said that this ex-boyfriend that came to the house had domestically terrorized her before, had been abusive to her in the past. And we know from lots of stories, not only here, but y'all know protective orders don't keep women safe. You think fucking abuser gives a shit about a fucking protective order? If he wants you dead, he's gonna come kill you. That's it. So I mean, we could talk about community control of the police, and that's a very relevant conversation. But where the community control of the abusers? Why are women who are survivors of physical abuse, emotional abuse, why where are they people coming to help them? Where's the community coming to help them? Where's the community coming to collect these fucking abusers so these women and children do not have to subject themselves to the whims of state agents? You know what I'm saying? The child was not recognized as a child by a black cop. And this cop is black, by the way, Greg Capers. What Attorney Moore was referencing in the press conference, he talked about Greg Capers demanded for his firing and spoke about a tasing incident. I looked it up. There was a tasing incident late 2022 involving Greg Capers with a man named Kevin Franklin, where Mr. Franklin apparently was tased while in handcuffs. I mean, that's excessive. It's excessive force, dog. That's police brutality, and it was captured on camera. So it wasn't like the events were in dispute. But I guess don't let one accusation of police brutality or excessive force. You can't let it keep a good cop down. It's not like one bad apple spoils a bunch or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? It's funny how the quote unquote bad apples just get to kick it. They just get to hang around and continue to abuse and maybe eventually kill somebody while they are still out there, quote, protecting and serving. So I want to keep an eye on this story because the family is obviously calling for Officer Capers to be fired and prosecuted, which he absolutely should be, There is no accident. It's no accidental shooting. This man took aim at that child and intended to kill him. I mean, you don't shoot anybody in the fucking chest if you just try to scare them. That's not how that works. And to listen to the mother describe the agony that the child was in. Why did he shoot me? What did I do? What did I do? Aderrien Murray, thankfully alive today by the grace of God. That's the only thing I can say, y'all. So, all right, it's idea time. It's discussion time. So, what are people who find themselves in domestically abusive situations when they feel as though the partner has come to harm them? What are they supposed to do? I mean, somehow this is not a rhetorical question. This is a very serious question. Like, what the fuck are people supposed to do? Are they supposed to call the police and hope for the best? Call the police and hope that the police, when they arrive, don't take you, the victim, as the perpetrator and fucking shoot you or shoot your children or shoot somebody else that the cops just perceive to be dangerous because they're black or brown? Like what are people supposed to do? What are and you guys, I say people, I do mean people, but more specifically, I mean women. What the fuck are women supposed? What are women supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? Because if we defend ourselves with self-defense, likely going to get criminally charged with that because black people are not allowed to do self-defense. Women not really allowed to defend themselves from men. You should have called the police. You should have had a protective order in place. Fuck all that shit. Okay? Again, let's dispel this mythology that using the tools of law enforcement and the criminal justice system to allegedly try to keep you safe. Let's dispel ourselves. Let's disavow ourselves that shit works, okay? Because at the end of the day, a protective order is a fucking piece of paper. It's a piece of paper. So when the abusive man them show up at your house waving the 4-4, kicking in the door, you're supposed to show what you're supposed to do. Hold up a piece of paper. You're supposed to hold up a piece of paper and say, look, buddy, the county said you not allowed over here. That nigga don't give a fuck. A single solitary fuck. And you guys know I appreciate what's up, Noli D. I appreciate y'all. But let me say this. And I'm not gonna say no names, but whoever it is, you know who you are. And again, this ain't a diss, this ain't I'm mad at you, this ain't none of that. But in the Remix Morning Show chat, when we were talking about Tina Turner, somebody and a couple people was like, well, Tina wasn't revolutionary. She was against the revolution. I just need to know how are black women expected to even be part of the revolution or lead the revolution when we nursing broken noses? You feel me? Like when a nigga done kicked you in your fucking ribs and punched you in your face, you supposed to go out there and lead the revolution? Is that what I'm to understand? My question is, speaking specifically about Tina Turner, I'm gonna get off this in a second, but and I don't know. Let me just preface by saying I do not fucking know. I don't know. I don't know who reached out to Tina. I don't know who helped Tina. I don't know who didn't help Tina. I'm talking about while she was still married to Ike Turner and enduring all that physical abuse. To my knowledge, I don't know if the revolutionaries showed up to help her. Forget the revolutionaries. What about the niggas that was around Ike Turner? You know what I'm saying? Like I would imagine maybe on occasion somebody had to jump in and get Ike off Tina. But I imagine a lot of times nobody fucking did. And this expectation that women are supposed to survive, raise families, raise children, and and lead the revolution and work. Come on, man. I need y'all to give sisters some grace out here. I do. I really do. And again, that's not a diss to nobody. That's not that when I saw that was just my take. I'm like, damn, when she's supposed to be out there organizing a revolution with a broke nose, huh? after Ike done went upside her head a bunch of times, she's supposed to go out there and put the fist in the air, huh? Whew, child. The expectations of black women and then the harshness of the critique that comes when they are not all things to all people. But let me get off that and circle back to this incident with this sister, because sure, the root of it all can be white supremacy, police violence, even white supremacist police violence enacted by black cops, as is the case with this officer in Indianola. But at the end of the day, the domestic incident is what set this whole thing off, right? And I need the suggestions. I need the communities. What's the strategy, y'all? What's the plan? You know what I'm saying? Because we as a collective, we as a people are not going to be free so long as other subsections of us are being oppressed by other subsections of us. You understand? Who's going to come get the abusers? That's all I want to know. Because you're putting women and children in a very precarious situation where they're having to rely on the state for their protection. And that's wrong, because the state is a bigger threat to them than they could ever be a protection. That's the case with people who are experiencing domestic violence. So that's the case with people who are experiencing mental health crisis. I mean, I'm hoping, in addition to, community control of the police, we do get community control of the abusers. That would be awesome. That would be awesome if that could happen. And I don't know how that happens. I don't, because I understand a lot of these abusers are real monsters. Like, I mean, some of them are straight. I'm gonna say pussy, even though I think pussy is strongest thing out here. But I'm gonna say pussy so y'all get it. A lot of men who put their hands on women are pussies, but there's a not insignificant population of those abusive men who other men are also afraid of, because they're fucking terrible. They're monsters, right? So it's like, oh, so where does that leave us? The monsters just get to terrorize. They just get to abuse. Everybody look the other way. Everybody act like they don't know. They don't see the bruises. They like everybody just act like they don't know, huh? Community control of the abusers first, please. So that way we don't have to call the fucking police, and we don't have to subject our children to these dangers of having to prove not only their humanity, but their innocence as children to these fucking murderous ass police who see us all as threats. And it ain't no good black cops. Eric Adams should have taught y'all that. Eric Adams should have taught y'all that. The squad of black Memphis police officers who killed Tyree Nichols should have taught us that. I mean, there's a lot of instances of these black cops definitely not being shit. So we want to thank the universe. We want to thank the deities. We want to thank everybody for all the the higher ups in the universe. Not everybody, we just people out here. But we want to thank the universe. We want to thank the gods, the goddesses, the deities, everybody, the almighties, the junior almighties, everybody. Thank you so much for protecting this little boy, for protecting him, for saving his life, even though the trauma that he is going to have to recover from could be lifelong. I don't see how an 11-year-old forgets that he was shot by a cop. And I shudder to think about what this child's experience and what their perception is going to continue to be of police as they get older. When Adarian gets a license, when he starts to drive, he's inevitably going to get pulled over by the cops. Y'all know that. I know that. You know what I'm saying? He's definitely going to get stopped and frisked and all kinds of shit just by virtue of him being a young black man. He's going to feel that trauma and that PTSD every single time he sees a cop. And I know there's a trauma, a shared trauma and a shared PSD by lots of black people out here, particularly black men. But this kid, he's already been shot. He's not even a teenager. I don't like it here. I do not like it here.